Sup guys, here today to do Naruto chapter 696 review. So in this chapter of Naruto, as usual, it's continuation of the fight, the showdown between Naruto and Sasuke as expected, right? Last week they ended off doing this blast off together, blast off in a sense where they both attacked, and from their attack this white light shined out where they're having inner dialogues inside of that while that's going down at the same time, like they're communicating through that collision that they've just made. And basically in this chapter, Naruto goes on to say at the very beginning that even knowing all of that, even knowing of their deep connection as friends, Sasuke still wants to kill him, and Sasuke is saying yes, that's the reason why he has to kill him. And then there's this back and forth dialogue with how Sasuke will, he basically goes more in depth into how he will define his idea of Okage, how he will definitely carry it out. He will always be acting from the shadows like Itachi did, always looking over, always making sure that humanity does not go down the wrong path from his perspective, being alone. It's basically the way how I understand it is the same way how Itachi acted in regards to the Uchiha clan taking on such a difficult mission psychologically, emotionally, in every way on himself, and doing it without the recognition of what he was doing, being alone in the entire process, and basically basically regretting it for the rest of his life. That's Sasuke's idea of Hokage. So his idea of Hokage will be something along those lines, acting from the shadows, being hated and feared, being alone, all of those negative emotions. He wants it all to center on himself, so that from that he will unite the world. Which is kind of ironic. Like, if someone wants to reunite the world, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for them to have all this negativity focused on them. But then that's the way how Sasuke says that's his idea of Hokage, which is interesting, I must say, because it does make sense, at least from his perspective, at least to him, it makes perfect sense. And to him, given how his life played out, he's more inclined to doing something of that sort that benefits the greater good, rather than doing something like what Naruto would do, like being friends with everybody into and basically wanting to unite the clans, doing it in a more positive light. He would more likely do it in a more negative way, even though the end result is would basically be the world peace that they are both fighting towards. So after that that mini inner dialogue that happens, we see they blast off in opposite directions, right? Sasuke goes one direction, Naruto goes another direction, and basically they begin fighting again. Then Sasuke says okay, he's not going to joke around anymore. He basically absorbs all the chakra that he collected from his Chubaku Tensei technique. He collects all the chakra and puts it into his perfect Susanoo, right? And his perfect Susanoo transforms into this badass type, like lightning looking, like this lightning version of his perfect Susanoo, because we know that Sasuke is his affinity, one of his affinities is the lightning element. So he looks like he transformed into this lightning elemental god type of being. And as stated by Kurama, that his chakra levels now approach the levels of the old sage of six pack, which is pretty impressive, combining the tail beast chakra in that way. So that's pretty much interesting. And at that point Naruto was trying to combat him using his Kagebunshin technique in his Biju and in his Kyubi mode form, that super Kyubi mode form, right? But it doesn't work. Sasuke Susanoo just basically curb stomps all of them. He even lets out this big electrical sphere attack that just hits everybody. And Naruto at one point he says that he doesn't even have enough chakra to do another Biju Dama. So Sasuke at that point is basically smiling like he has won the fight. But then what Sasuke didn't realize is when earlier in this fight, when he was blocking the attacks from the clones of Naruto, he hit down the one of the clones of a 98 Fox, and that clone was apparently collecting natural energy. This is the first time that we've seen Naruto use his collection technique for natural energy in this way. He ordered one of his Cube mode clones to collect natural energy, and I'm guessing because of that fact, it was collecting a huge amount of natural energy out of nowhere. Sasuke says that he feels this immense amount of natural energy surging up, and then he says that yes, it looks like Naruto is finally about to go serious. It looks like he really wants to kill him, but Naruto, he's reminiscing in that very moment of in the past their typical fights that would normally happen. He says that he wants to defeat Sasuke in the right way, but not the way how Sasuke is right now, right? So he doesn't approve of Sasuke's actions, well, obviously, but he doesn't want to fight this. He doesn't consider this a real fight with Sasuke, not the way Sasuke is right now, according to him. So he lets out this what looks like a Rasen Shuriken Bijudama version and a typical Rasen Shuriken version of his attacks, which I believe is pretty insane. And even the Cube mode performing that attack with the 3 arms on both sides, that's just insane. It looks like one of those Hindu gods to me. Like in that panel, it reminded me of those Hindu gods with those guys with a lot of arms and doing all of this crazy stuff. That's definitely what it looks like to me. The Cube mode in that form is pretty cool. I liked it very much. I like how it looked. Then Naruto fires off the attack, and Naruto, Sasuke as usual fires off his lightning based attack. No, going back to the Naruto elemental affinities, right? Naruto elemental affinities that was introduced way back in Naruto. In fact, I even had to go on Wikipedia and refresh my memory about these sort of things. But there are 5 elements in Naruto, right? Fire, fire, lightning, earth, water, and air, right? Those basically 5 elements, right? And it just so happens, right? Like I looked it up. Sasuke's lightning elemental affinity is weak to Naruto's wind elemental affinity, and we just saw him create 2 Rasen Shuriken, which are wind elemental type attacks, right? And he still attacked with his lightning elemental attack. So right there, from an affinity standpoint alone, Sasuke will lose this this bout, if you want to call it that. It's trade off. He will lose this one because even his Susanoo version, right? We've seen Naruto use one type of elemental affinity. I'm guessing he does have another one, but Kishimoto, he didn't expand on Naruto abilities in this way, I guess. So right now we just been seeing Naruto using one elemental affinity, and that elemental affinity has always been wind. And I'm surprised that Sasuke still fired off that lightning elemental attack. Like, doesn't he know the elemental affinities, the strengths and weaknesses? Because it's clear as day that his lightning element will lose out to Naruto's wind element because it's weak to wind, right? That's the unique advantage that Naruto has against Sasuke. But at the same time, Sasuke has another elemental affinity, and that's fire. And it just so happens that fire element is actually strong against wind element, right? The wind element is strong against lightning but weak against fire. So that's the unique dichotomy when it comes to facing Naruto in their clash up. In terms of Naruto facing off against Sasuke, Naruto typically just use wind element attacks. That's his only element that we've seen him use, and it just so happens that his wind element attack is strong against Sasuke's lightning elemental affinity but weak against Sasuke's fire elemental affinity. So maybe Sasuke will use his fire element in some way that actually does damage to Naruto. Maybe he will in fact not lose his bow. Maybe this is all according to his plans, making it seem like he fired off lightning element attack, but probably would want to come up behind Naruto and just basically murk him with a fire element. Who knows? But um, that's the chapter so far, and I have to say it's a pretty good chapter. These chapters, in general, in my opinion, with the fight between Naruto and Sasuke, they've generally been good, in my opinion. I like to see the different points of view of both Naruto and Sasuke, how they play them out. We see Naruto striving for world peace from a more positive outset, from a more positive mindset, from a more positive output. And Sasuke, on the other hand, ironically, striving for the same world peace, but from a more dark, lonely, isolated, negative perspective. So overall, I thought that this was a great chapter of Naruto. So that's it. That's my review. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Sayonara.